Happy Hour with Heather and Guest, episode number 129. We're so close to 130. But yeah, this is, I guess, the second episode of the new iteration since we've returned. It's good to be back in the mix.
Yeah.
Today I thought I would, since it's getting colder, I thought I would switch out my chapeau for my sleep knit wool cap with the green pom-pom, so I would look more like a garden gnome. And here we are. So in the new format, we're going to talk about old bands that I've unearthed that deserve to be in the conversation for talking about originators of Doom. And then you and I sent each other tracks to listen to that we had been listening to in the last week or so. And finally, I think you're going to give some recommendations for bands that are releasing new music or have released new music.
Yeah.
So we're going to represent past, present, and future are all represented.
Yes.
All right, so shall we start with the past?
Sure.
Okay, so I don't know where I found this, but there was a list of like obscure bands that you should know that are influential in the development of the Doom genre. And this band just had a cool name. Their name is Iron Claw. And they're from Dumfries, Scotland. And I think they only released one album in 1970. I think they've subsequently had releases that are like studio outtakes and whatnot. And I think they had a reunion briefly in 1993, I think is like a fundraiser. But just based on that, I was like, a Scottish doom band named Iron Claw? Where do I sign up? And then fortunately, YouTube had plenty to look at. But I found two tracks, Skull Crusher, and one called Claustrophobia, spelled CLAW. So, yeah, and then I read Iron Claw was a Scottish heavy metal band formed in 1969 and ended in 1974. In March 2007, the band were mentioned in an article in Classic Rock magazine called The Lost Pioneers of Heavy Metal. And their name comes from the song 21st Century Schizoid Man by King Crimson, because I guess they make reference to an iron claw. So, definitely worth checking out. I mean, I've talked about, like, I think last episode I made the analogy that if Deep Purple and Black Sabbath and Led Zeppelin are the giant boulders that make up the wall, then bands like Iron Claw are the smaller rocks that fit in between the nooks and crannies so that there's no space.
Yeah.
So check out Iron Claw. Those tracks are I mean, they got good hooks. You know, I think they either saw Led Zeppelin play in '69 and they were just like, yeah, this is what I want to do. So that was the impetus.
Nice.
So yeah, but it's not, they're not derivative. That's one thing I noticed right off the bat, especially the first Skull Crusher. When I was listening to it, I was like, okay, this has some of the hallmarks that we've grown accustomed to. But then I was like, they were doing this in 1970. That's groundbreaking. Some of the stuff we take for granted now in terms of the Doom formula, like lyrics and melodies and riffs and, you know, drum beats. But I can imagine when they were doing it, it was very innovative.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But yeah, go check out Iron Claw. And then, and of course, we'll have clips of the song that you'll probably, in fact, I'll probably cut myself off right now. have clip, and then it'll go right into a clip of the song. So now that you've listened to Iron Claw, you can hit pause on the video and go check them out because the whole album is streaming on YouTube. So I would just binge it if that was me. And then, yeah, this week, do you want to start with what I gave you, or should I start with what you gave me?
Well, I'll start with what you gave me.
Okay, awesome.
Okay, so so you gave me Grave Disgrace, Visions of Tomorrow from the album Visions of Tomorrow. And I thought this was a great Doom song, and you know, it's nice and slow and heavy, very distinct vocals. And I've been craving some good Doom, so I'm really glad that I'm really glad this was on your list because it kind of scratched that itch of, you know, Doom, getting that Doom music in, because that's our favorite. So it's always fun to listen to some good Doom music. So I saved the whole album, so I'm gonna listen to the whole album. So
cool.
And then you gave me Soundgarden from the Louder Than Love album. The song is called Hands All Over. And Soundgarden was one of my favorite bands, and Chris Cornell remains my all-time favorite singer. His voice is absolutely incredible, and this song definitely showcases his voice to the hilt. Some fun facts. This album was the first of theirs to chart on the Billboard 200, and it peaked at number 108. And then it's also their first major studio album when they signed to the label A&M. This is their first major studio album. So I never got to see them live, and that's something that I definitely regret. But there's always room on my playlist for Soundgarden. They will always have a special place in my heart. So good. That was a good one.
Thank you.
Ogre. Seven Hells is the album, and the song is Soldier of Misfortune. And I thought the tone on this song was absolutely insane. I really liked the guitar solo parts, and I thought as the song went on, the guitar just got more and more, you know, he just got wilder and wilder with that guitar. And that was pretty cool. That was very cool. Really lots of riffs, lots of really cool riffs. The song's like a story, and the guitar is like the fury. And I definitely think you can't go wrong with a band that's called Ogre. So that was pretty cool. Okay. And then Phish. The song David Bowie by Phish.
David Bowie. David Bowie. David Bowie. David Bowie.
And you know Darcy the Mail Girl. I think Phish might be her favorite band.
Really?
Yeah, I think so.
Wow.
I may have that wrong, but this song has a lot of jazzy elements, and I'm wondering if that's why you like it so much. And I got a good sense of their improvisational style, which I think is why people really like this band. And I've never seen them live, but I've heard that no two live shows are ever the same. So that's pretty cool. So I was kind of curious about this song, but about the songs on your playlist.
Yeah,
How
yeah. Well, um, I'll go in order. So Grave
okay.
Disgrace. So there's a great resource. The I think it's called Encyclopedia Metallum. It's just the metal archives, and it's a database of like every metal band in existence. So, and what's cool is they'll have all the information. So, like if you put in um, like Grave Disgrace, it'll have the current lineup, any former lineups, all the albums they've released. Some and they'll list similar artists. So I put in Purple Hill Witch, who I'm a huge fan of, and Blood Farmers, and I was like, who are their bands? And Ogre and Grave Disgrace were both bands that were on the list for if you like both Blood Farmers and Purple Hill Witch. So I was like, oh well, I do. So you can put any for fans of Sleep, for fans of Black Sabbath, So that's how I found Ogre and Grave Disgrace, because like with the unearthed category, I'm really on a mission now to not just like I remember seeing an interview with Henry Rollins where he talked about fun for him is listening to records, and he said the week he goes that's sashimi and clap push-ups. He's like, during the week I listen to records I've never heard before, because then I guess he has the focus during the week to like take in new music. And he's like, the weekend, that's when I put on records I've listened to for the last 20 years. He's like, that's meat and potatoes. That's like, so I've been is like bands I'm familiar with. That's when I'll listen to Dope Smoker. That's when I'll listen to Purple Hill Witch or Slow Green Thing, or bands that I've been listening to for a while. Um, but I'm also on the lookout. I'm like, there's got to be doom out there that we haven't heard that should be on our playlists. So that's how I found Grave Disgrace and Ogre, because I went on a database and I was like, oh, Hells. I was like, yeah, this is right. This is exactly what I'm looking for. Soundgarden, I think that there's a live version they do of the song that was in the algorithm. And I just remember that opening riff just hooked me. I was like, that's one of the best riffs I've heard. And I'm really only familiar with later, and by later Soundgarden, I mean like Super Unknown and Bad Motorfinger, and like what really launched them into superstardom. But I know they have a whole catalog of music from before then. So I thought this would be a cool opportunity to sort of revisit them before they really broke. Um, and I think, because I know that their original bassist, Hiro Yamamoto, didn't like I guess he wanted, I don't know, he didn't necessarily like the direction the band was heading in, so I think he quit. And I think he quit just either before or after this album came out.
Yeah, I thought I read that this was the last album that he was on.
Yeah, and then
Oh,
I know they got Jason Everman to play bass for them briefly before he joined the military and became sort of this like superstar military operative. He had also been in Nirvana for one hot minute. He's an interesting character, but I don't want to go too far off on a tangent. So anyway, that's how I got this Soundgarden track. Because again, I was like, I could listen to I could listen to Outshined or Black Hole Sun, but they're such a more complex band than that, with such a catalog. I was like, I want to find something new. And then when I heard this one, I was like, why don't I know this song? This song rocks.
Yeah.
And then Phish, I think I was maybe in high school, like a freshman year of high school. I think I was introduced to Phish, so 93. And that was sort of, Phish is kind of like our generation's version of the Grateful Dead. Like they fill that sort of jam band. People will follow them to the ends of the earth, and they do have that improvisational quality to them. But I do remember, especially when we were down here in South Carolina when I was younger, we had the CD changer in the car, and I would put in Phish's album and recently I remember asking my mother, do you remember when we would listen to Phish? And she said, is that the song Wash Your Feet and Drive Me to Florenzi? And I said, yes. They have a song called You Enjoy Myself, where one of the members starts singing in Italian. And it sounds like he's saying, Washa you Fizi, drive me to Florenzi. And my mother was like, that's Wash Your Feet, right? So anyway, there is history to that song and that group. So that's why because I had been listening to it because of memories. But they're very polarizing. They're a very polarizing group. I think you've got people who are diehard who will go to like hundreds of shows, and then you've got people who just don't get it. And I really I've never met anyone who's on the fence about Phish.
Yeah.
It's like I either don't understand it and I'm leaning towards hating them, or they're my favorite band. Like I've never met anyone who's so. Although I guess I'm like that because
Yeah.
There's probably got to be more people, but anyway, that's one of their least polarizing songs.
Okay.
So I thought, I think the only lyrics are David Bowie and UB40. Those are the only lyrics in the song. So, but all right. Well, let's see. What did Heather listen to this week or this last week? Okay, so you gave me Burnt Hamlets by Ain't.
Consider space and time like a worn fight,
which at the time was released as a single, but now is actually the first track on an album. Yeah. Which name I thought I had written down.
I'll have to look. I saved the album because I saw it just got released.
Yes. Well, Ain't is from Abruzzo, Italy. The track that we listened to, or that I listened to, that you and I wrote down a very cool riff, and then we have sort of an 80s synthesizer industrial feel, which I don't know if I was expecting necessarily. It was really cool because it was kind of like an 80s not like 90s industrial with like 9-inch nails, but it was like more of a Gary Newman type industrial. And then I kept trying to wonder what burnt Hamlets meant, and all I could think about was something like Vietnam. I was like, why is this dude from Italy writing about Vietnam? And then, of course, that was all me projecting, because I can't imagine it has anything. Oh, it's the first track off the new album, Realism Through the Lens. That's what it's called, Realism Through the Lens. And I did look at the lyrics, and there's a really cool line, though you can drink your moments down, which I thought was very cool. So yeah, I guess, I mean, I've only listened to that one track, but if it's an indication of what the album is like, it'll have a lot of really wonderful elements to it that on paper, if you would have told me, hey, there's going to be a cool riff with an 80s synthesizer industrial feel to it, I would have been like, I'll pass. But when you hear it, it works. So I would recommend checking this out. We've featured Aints music before.
Yeah.
We'll probably feature Aints music again.
Well, I'm sure we will.
Yes. Next up was Red Scalp. The track was Paralyzed off of the Hallucinations EP. And Red Scalp we've talked about before.
We have.
Yeah, they're from Poland. I'm going to try to pronounce this. Prezu, Pleszew. Right now, there are a lot of people from Poland rolling their eyes at my pronunciation, and I don't blame them. And I wrote, I'm not sure how to describe it. The melody is like something I was familiar with, but couldn't remember what it was. And it's layered with a stoner rock riff and groove. But there is a melody to it that I was like, this is familiar. Why is this familiar? And then for the life of me, I couldn't think of it. The way the lyrics are, the way the vocals hit, I was like, this is reminding me of something.
Yeah.
But again, really cool stoner stuff. So if you're into that. And then there's a spoken word part to the song that gives it a psychedelic science fiction feel. And again, the lyrics that resonated with me is, how can I explain the fact a mind destroyed yet still intact? So a lot to think about. I really dug Red Scalp when we listened to them the first time. So I will have the Hallucinations EP on my playlist. Next up, we had a split. Lowrider and Elephant Tree released a split called The Long Forever. So Lowrider, the track I listened to was called Caldera. Lowrider's from Stockholm, Sweden. And I wrote, it's another sort of psychedelic floating through space vibe. And the stoner rock riff was reminiscent of something like Caius. I felt like it was very, very representative of that desert sound of stoner rock. Really melodic vocals. And it's clocking in at almost 10 minutes. I think this was the longest song on the list. Some really cool slow solos. I really dig a slow solo because I feel like a lot of times if you're ripping a fast solo, there are probably tricks and techniques that will wow you because you can just tap or do, hammer trills or whatever, and it'll just make it seem like you're doing something really incredible. But if you can rip a slow solo, you can't hide it with tricks or a whammy bar, or anything. It's just like the notes are out there. So anytime there's a slow solo, I'm always amazed because I'm like, you're just putting yourself out there. And there are a couple of those. And then the song dissolves into like the ether, guitar hints, and then it all comes crashing back in, and you're banging your head in the depths of space as you're floating. I just got this image of me floating through space while I'm headbanging. It was really powerful. So, great choice by you. And then Elephant Tree, their song was called The Long Forever. Which is off of the name of the split. They're from London. They're from London in the United Kingdom. And I wrote it was a perfect fit with the previous track. Similar but different tone, and this time I felt like I was floating through water instead of space. There was a little bit more pull in terms of like the current, like in space there are no currents. In this one it felt like there were currents because it was a little more harsh, but just as powerful as the previous track. And then I connected with the song at a minute 45 when the chorus came in. And I don't know if you've seen the movie Pi.
I don't know.
It was Darren Aronofsky's first film. He would make The Wrestler with Mickey Rourke.
I don't think so.
He made what was that movie called? With Jared Leto, where he's a heroin addict. Ellen Burstyn.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Requiem for a Dream. He made Requiem for a Dream. So
that's an amazing movie.
Yeah. So the first movie he made when he was a young guy is about a mathematician who builds this machine, and he's being hounded by different groups of people who want the machine. So they're like hedge fund stockbrokers who want the machine because they think the machine can predict the stock market. And then there's a group of Orthodox Jews that are after him because they think the machine will be able to reveal the true name of God. So it's a thing, but I felt like I was listening to the machine tell me the true name of God. I was like, okay, this chorus is hitting me in such a way that something is being revealed that I shouldn't know.
Wow.
I was like, yeah, that's the last time that happened was when we listened to Amygdala by Slow Brain Thing, and that riff came in, and I was like, I shouldn't be part of this. This is bigger than me. I felt like I was listening to something I shouldn't be listening to. And then, so I wrote, like in Pi, after the machine, because it will reveal the true name of God, that part of the riff, and then I realized it was the chorus. And then I said the song implodes, but then it reforms. And the Obelisk wrote this: "They are braver and more solidified than they were a decade ago, and the songs bear that out. I never actually saw a lyric sheet for Long Forever, but it sounds like they're repeating free handbags, which I don't think they are, but is kind of fun." So I'm also going to accept that the only lyrics for the song The Long Forever are free handbags. So if at any point any of the members of Elephant Tree are watching this, please, you don't have to tell me what the lyrics actually are. I'm happy to think for the rest of my life that it's just you're saying free handbags. So yeah, those were the 4 tracks. They were dynamite.
Yeah, I the Ain't song, Stefano has sent it to me, so I listened to it, and then he also sent me the link for the full album when it was released. So I'm sure we're going to be talking more about that
Oh yeah,
in a later show.
yeah. No, he hit me
That's-
up as well.
oh, good.
So yeah.
Good. Yeah. So that's the reason I included that song. And then the Red Scalp, I've been following them for a long time.
Yeah.
And I got a notification that they released this single. So I went and listened to it. And since this single was released, they have since released the full album. So I I got that notification. So I thought, ooh, it's Red Scalp. Definitely have to listen to that. And then for the Lowrider Elephant Tree, I liked Elephant Tree also I've been following for a while. And when I listened to this, I immediately went and bought the record because that's how blown away I was.
Yeah. You
And
heard the machine.
yeah, and it's like I realized I don't have any lowrider records. So that was another reason too, because they're so good and I definitely needed to add them to my record collection. So
Cool.
those were the songs.
Nice.
Yeah.
So what can we expect from Bandcamp this week?
From Bandcamp.
or
Let's see what I did. So I'm still behind because our show was on hiatus for a little bit. So I'm still a little bit behind on these Bandcamp releases. But I wanted to mention the band Vessel from Australia. They released, it's called The Somnifer, and they released that November 1st. And then Wizard Tattoo, who we've talked about before, they released one of those knives also November 1st. See, I'm a little bit behind here.
That's okay.
And then Familiars, they released Easy Does It November 15th. And then Blind Horse, I thought you would like that one.
Absolutely. Yeah.
They released Rock and Roll Days also November 1st. So those are some notable November releases, and eventually I'm going to get caught up.
Yeah, it's all good. The music isn't going anywhere.
No.
So, well, this has been another wonderful, fun-filled romp through
Yes.
the past, present, and future of music, and I'm excited for the next sojourn, episode 130. But I'm glad we're getting these bands out there. They deserve to be heard.
Yes.
So, all right. Well, thank you, Heather.
Yeah, thank you.
And have a good, everyone out there, have a good rest of your evening.
Bye.